Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to Miyagi Mornings. I think it's episode 36 today as we get another week started on a Monday. Today's going to be one of those episodes where I say I don't do politics, and some people are going to say it's politics, and it's not politics. And if you think it's politics, you're actually probably one of the people that I'm doing this for. We're going to talk today about how the modern global warming religion, and I know that's going to really trigger some people. I'm sorry, it is a religion because it's not really based on real science. Because the first reason I can give you that it's not based on real science is if it's real science, when somebody objects to what you're saying, you have rigorous scientific fact-based debate. They are not silenced, they are not shut down, they are not written off. A proper response to anything that claims to be a scientific claim is never, infinity never, the science is settled. Because that's not how science works. Now, I'm not here to give you a lesson in science today. So we're going to leave it at that. But if you think that there's anything that you can call settled science, especially when you're dealing in the realm of theory versus scientific law, then you need to do your own self-education as to what the scientific method and scientific processes are and what the origin of science was in the first place. Because the entire purpose of the discipline that we call science is to never say that something just is, or never take any explanation on its face, and always require rigor, and always require that we understand that even a valid scientific theory can be proven wrong in the future. So I'll leave it at that. I want to come at this from a different angle, though. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say that I am wrong, and that the air you exhale and your CO2 out of your tailpipe of your car and all that other stuff is actually raising the temperature of the planet. I'll just put that, okay, I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but I'm going to make my case as though I'm wrong and what I'm saying makes sense anyway, which is the point. My contention is that the worst thing that's ever happened to environmentalism, because I am an environmentalist, just because I don't practice your faith does not mean I'm not an environmentalist. I am probably far more of a proactive environmentalist than plenty of people that say I hate the planet or something like that because of my stance on this one issue. But we have entered a place now where people have been through the political process divided into two camps, anti and pro, on this issue, which makes no sense at all. Because almost everybody, there are some sick, twisted individuals, but almost everybody agrees that pollution's bad, right? That turning places that are not deserts into deserts is bad. That dumping garbage into our ocean is bad. That pumping out things like mercury and sulfur through the use of fossil fuels like coal into our atmosphere is bad. There's like so many things that we agree upon. And what triggered this episode of Miyagi Mornings was I did a video that I uploaded over the weekend called Green Gold, which is a documentary featuring John D. Liu and the work he's done around the world to restore entire ecosystems, in case some ecosystems that are the size of small states in the United States, proving that it actually works. And there is some significant mention throughout this of carbon cycle, little tiny bit of climate change, enough that I don't care, and if I don't care, you shouldn't care. But one of the commenters on that video after I published it was, it would be pretty good if it wasn't for all the carbon nonsense in it. Excuse me? How is the carbon mentioned, the concept of sequestering carbon from the atmosphere into the soil nonsense? Do you deny the existence of the carbon cycle? Do you think you can have a healthy soil if carbon isn't being ongoingly put into the soil? Because you can't. Do you understand that one of the greatest environmental catastrophes, I would say it's the number one, but I'll say I cannot even be challenged with saying it's the top 5 environmental catastrophes is what we do with modern agriculture. The whole system of modern agriculture globally is one of the largest producers of greenhouse gases and pollution and damage to our ecosystems that not only exists, but that it has ever existed in human history. It is a massive polluter and a massive destroyer of ecosystems. Okay? Doesn't mean we can't farm. Doesn't mean we can't grow things. It means we need to farm in a way that takes carbon out of the air and puts it into the soil. How do we do that? Number one way we can do that are grazing systems that are properly managed that use herbivores and specifically ruminants like cattle, sheep, goats, etc., moving through that system, cycling that organic matter into waste and back into the soil. And if we plant lots of trees and we do a silviculture model, it works even better. There's nothing that humans can do that takes more carbon out of the atmosphere and puts it into the soil other than a silvopasture-based, savanna mimicry grazing system. It is the gold standard, and all the actual science, real science, where real data is collected, analyzed, and reported honestly says so. There are systems that do it better that are natural systems, but they can't exist everywhere. They are systems like saltwater marsh mangrove systems do it better. Like, that's the only one that does it better. So this is what we should be doing to repair our topsoil, to improve our environment, to reduce the runoff of nutrient into our rivers and streams and oceans and lakes, right? This is what we should be doing. Now, if I'm not wrong about AGW, we should still be doing this. If I am wrong about AGW, we should still be doing this. Why don't you hear anything about it? Why don't you hear anything except we should all live on soy, which is a toxin to human beings when eaten in the quantities they want you to eat it in anyway, and animals are bad. Because that's what they want. Because if you can take a commodity like soy or corn or wheat that can be stored in a silo versus animals that need actual husbandry and care by human beings, you can control a population. And the best thing in the world to control a population is division. This is my summation here. And I deal in facts and opinion. This is going to sound like opinion. This is factual. I could put together a 20-point plan to improve the environment on this planet, to reduce pollution into our oceans, to stop the exportation of topsoil in the form of runoff. No nation, no society, no civilization has ever survived exporting its topsoil. Annual agriculture, the way it's practiced today, is the exportation of topsoil. You will collapse a society if you do that. I could put together a 20-tenant plan that would work. And with limited education, 80% or more of people in our country would say, that makes sense. We should do that. They could do it too. But they don't. They continue to divide you on this misguided belief that you exhaled and now you are contributing to the temperature of planet Earth. This doesn't make any sense. But again, even if it's true, taxing oil and coal won't fix that problem. Build all the windmills you want. And as long as you're still eroding the most productive topsoil in the world and washing it into the ocean and lacing it with mined minerals in the form of NPK fertilizer, it won't fix the problem. Even if we should tax coal, even if we should tax oil, even if we should suppress carbon emissions through financial policy, which I don't think we do, but even if we should, all the things that I'm telling you that most people with common sense would agree to would do more, even if I'm wrong. So why don't you hear it? Again, because they want you divided. They want you controlled. When you start having people say things like, I don't believe in environmentalism, it's very disturbing to me. I had neighbors at my place in Arkansas. These people lived in the mountains. They loved the environment. They did all types of things that were very environmentalist. But I was talking to them one day and they said, well, I don't believe in environmentalism. What? And what it came down to is, well, I don't believe in global warming, but now I've taken all of this common sense environmental policy and I've lumped it in with these crazy people and then I'm written it all off. Likewise, there'll be people, I can tell you right now, down in the comments section of this video, you're thinking evil, you're a shield for the oil company and some stupid ass shit like that, like as though Exxon gives a flying shit what Jack Spirko has to say, as though Exxon's my friend, you morons. Come on, right? Not listening to what's actually being said, because just like my friends in Arkansas who were divided to the right side of an issue that shouldn't even be political, you're divided to the left side of the issue. And the people that are running the show, it's what they absolutely want from you. They want you hating your friends and family who disagree with you and joining your little cult. They don't care which side of the cult you pick, as long as you're on either side, because then they get to continue the wholesale destruction of our planet that you claim to oppose, unabated, and they pander to you with stupid shit. And this is how you know it's a religion. What you say is more important than what you do in many religions. What you profess is more important than your actions. That's how you know you're dealing in the world of religion versus science. I live my life with an incredibly small environmental footprint compared to people who are screeching and yelling about global warming. What I do does not matter to them as much as what I say. You're not in a world of logic in that place, folks. You can't be. Well, we should be doing all these things. Well, he does all these things. Yes, but he says the wrong word, so he's bad. We have to cease this behavior. And the only way we can cease this behavior, we have to stop acting like a bunch of dumb-ass bulls with rings in our nose, being drug around on a lead by masters. If you care about the environment, start a garden. If you care about the environment, start taking care of small livestock in a way that makes environmental sense. Take the waste streams and process it into compost and put it back into the soil and start sequestering carbon in your own backyard, and instead of expecting that we're going to fix this by making coal companies trap carbon from their emissions when they burn coal and letting the mercury and sulfur still go into our groundwater and fuck everything up. Stop thinking that's a solution, because it's not. And start looking at what you can do. This is why this works. We're in a society today where people don't want to be saddled with a responsibility in their actions. They want somebody else to do it for them, and they want somebody else to enforce their will on others for them, and that's violence by proxy, folks. That's what that is. When you say this person should have to behave this way, and if they don't, armed men with guns should go make them do it, that is violence by proxy. In other words, you don't have the balls to enforce that yourself, but you're totally comfortable with people doing it on your behalf as though you're not responsible for the violence. Right? That's where we end up with this type of thinking. When we start saying, well, okay, there's all these things that are wrong. What can I do? Right out the back door, guys. That's what you can do. And it's up to you to do it. And until you realize, and again, I don't care what you believe about global warming, until you realize that even if you're on the opposite side from me, and even if you're right, it's being used by the people that are controlling you to divide you from people like me who are your willing allies. 99% of what you want to do, I'm not only willing to do it, I'm already doing it in my own life. But I'm your enemy. If you want to, and I'm telling you guys, this goes way past environmentalism. This is the, capital T-H-E, the system of control in the modern world. And this is one of those ones that the more emotion, and that's how they always do it, they gin the emotion up. If you're angry at me right now for what I've said, you're focusing on my words versus my actions. You're angry at an ally, and you're supporting an enemy. Because I promise you, the work I've done, and the things I've shared, and the things I've taught, and the people I've inspired, we've done back of the napkin calculations. Over 5 million trees have been planted from the work we do at TSP. 5 million. That's conservative. Tens of thousands of gardens. Tens of thousands of composting systems. And that's just getting started. And if you're mad at me because you don't like what I said, how is that scientific? It isn't. It's up to you guys. I just implore you, start focusing on solutions, because the things your TV's telling you, the things that if you're depending on the government to fix the problem that their policies caused in the first place, I'll just end with that's about as unscientific as it gets, guys.